Well, hello and welcome to the Positive Echo podcast. Great to be here, Gary. It seems like a long time, doesn't it? How long are you? So how are you? Not how long are you? Don't answer that.
I'm in Old English. I'm 5'6".
Okay, all right, in metric, if you don't
I've
mind.
no idea. I was
Okay.
born pre-metric, you see. That's
And
the
how
problem.
are you is the question I meant to ask, of
I
course.
am the happiest bunny you can imagine at the moment.
Oh, that's nice.
People who've been watching us for a while know that I've published a memoir.
Yes.
As of today, it has gone into the top 10 bestsellers in its category on 4 continents.
How about that? Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
not bad, is it?
That's really great. That's really great, and I want to put the link, if I may, on the
Mm.
screen and in the chat, so people can help with. Well, they can find the book and decide for themselves if it's a
Yeah,
bestseller or not. But any help with that would be gratefully
yeah,
appreciated, I suspect.
it is, and it's on promotional offer for the best part of a month.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
I'm more interested in putting it in people's hands. It was never about money.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
All right. And the book is. I mean, that's importantly.
Thank you for asking, good sir. It's called Demons to Champions:
Yes.
How I Fell in Love with My Neurodivergent Maverick Mind.
Yes. Now, our guest today, I'm sure, is going to want to talk to you about the Maverick Mind, because that just
Mhm.
those 2 words he picked up on. It's like Maverick Mind. Yes, me too. It's a great phrase that you've incorporated into the subtitle of your book, as we can
Oh,
see
thank you.
it on the screen there.
Mhm.
Just very quickly, how did that come to you, that term Maverick Mind? Because I think people, it is very relatable, isn't it?
It is. I was trying to capture the feeling that I had and have of having a deluge of thoughts, and often those thoughts just run away into the distance, and the sound of hooves disappearing. And I thought, mavericks,
Yes.
the wild horses, and
Okay.
it just popped into my head.
Very good.
And I kind of think differently to most people.
Yes.
I see things they don't, and they see things I don't, which is all good.
Yeah, and anyone who's a regular listener to the Positive Echo podcast, the name which you came up with, will have noticed what you've just said,
Mhm.
and it definitely chimes with our guest today,
Yeah.
Eric Bourgault, which I'm sure he will confess to himself, the possessor of a maverick mind as well, and an incredible mind, an incredible fella. And rather than me try and introduce him, because it was me that I was going to say discovered him. It makes me sound like some sort of '60s music impresario, doesn't it? I found him in a club, in a quiet nightclub somewhere, and turned him into a
Mhm.
star. I don't mean that. It was just my great pleasure to have a chance conversation with him online, ironically, as it turns
Mhm.
out, and say, "Do you want to come and be a guest on the Good Morning Portugal show?" And then I'm thinking, he's visiting me. We were at the Storytellers this afternoon, where you and
Oh,
I met.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a production meeting, or that's what I'm calling it
Mhm.
anyway. Um, and I invited him to be on our show before today. That was what an excellent guest, because of what he knows, where he's been, what he talks about, and how his mind works. To be here on the Positive Echo podcast. So, without further ado, let me give him a round of applause and bring him onto the screen. Hi there,
Hello, hello.
Monsieur
Very glad
Bourgault.
to be there with you guys. Thank you
Eric.
so much for the introduction. Gary, you speak my words. I was reading the intro from your book, and it's about being too much, being too sensitive, being everything,
Yeah.
and yet to accept and assume that we are normal. It took me a while to understand that one, let me tell you.
Right.
Yeah. We're kind of usual, they're
Yeah.
not atypical. We've been here for thousands of years, um, and we're just getting to grow into our skin, I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes. So
So,
specifically today, um, and yes, I'm loving the resonance between you both. And I know that we could have a conversation for several hours.
Of course.
That's certainly doable, isn't it? But we have an hour today, and
Oh, 1 hour.
a little bit of focus. Can we be digitally free? How would you put your name to that? How would you hang your hat on that show title, our episode title of How to Be Digitally Free? Because I think it in some ways sums up some of what you do. Of course, it doesn't encapsulate all of who you are, but it is something that's very dear to you, right, Eric?
It is very dear to me. And of course, as I said to you more than once, it comes from a personal story, the one I had with technology back in the days. In fact, funny enough, I wrote many books as a self-assumed neurodivergent, not one, but five, six, seven. Hopefully, they will see the day soon. And one of them is a series of poems that I wrote under the name Breaking Free from the Bars. Okay. And so, yeah, when we ask, can we be digitally free? I think the first question to ask is, do we want to be? Because it's pure ecstasy. It fill up the boredom, a sense of loneliness, emptiness of any kind. And I think that the moment that you own it and recognize it, then you can make a decision. For me, 20 years of online addiction. And I'm not afraid to say mostly porn. Why? Because of the quality of the dopamine hit. And I
Yes.
know there is definitely some people out there, specialists, scientists, neuro, all of these guys who knows about this very important topic because it is clearly misunderstood, unrecognized, and is hurting people every day. And I'm talking especially about men, you know, because when I started this journey to recovery, I was convinced I was the only one.
Right.
It was almost 20 years ago. Look
Yes.
at where we are today.
You were an early adopter, an early recognizer, and somebody who's been through this yourself some time ago. The whole idea of a digital detox, I think, is firmly embedded in our collective consciousness. But 20 years ago, it wasn't such a recognized thing, and
No.
you had to go. I mean, in a way that we were talking about neuro divergent consciousness, and you and Gary, I think it's fair to say, coming to your own conclusions and insight on that. This is what you've done with the digital world and how you've detached yourself from it and the gift you've got to give to others now.
Yeah, and I think that the most important part is not to blame someone, but rather take ownership by saying, you know what, I care about my health, not just the physical one, but also the mental health. And I'm willing to take the steps needed to move into a new direction. It's not comfortable, and nobody will necessarily tell you how to do it. But at some point, you need to, you're forced to. And I'm very blessed that I was able to be exposed to the evidence before the arrival of the smartphone, before the arrival of social media, AI, and everything that comes from the digital revolution.
Of course.
Because in fact, my addiction was coming from what? It was coming from a television, which then led to a computer. But the phone itself was so dummy. Remember you probably had that back in the days, the small little flip phone. There
Yes.
was no way to be addicted to that thing. It was you were just trying to do the minimum, texting someone or so, and it was over. The screen was like, remember the Nokia? It was like white, blue. It was ugly like hell. There were no way to be seduced by that. So for me, it was mostly being hypnotized by the screen, watching beta. Then old folks will laugh now. Beta videos, tapes, and then
Betamax.
VHS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, beta VHS, and then at the end DVD. But it was very limited. It's when you go into the World Wide Web that things are infinite.
Yes.
That's why at some point at the beginning of this journey to create a digital detox movement, I was saying openly that maybe the web is the new dope. And I was always a bit hesitant to say it because I was like, maybe people will take it at a personal level, pretending that everything is wrong about the web. And I'm not suggesting that. But I think we passed the point to argue if this thing can be damageable for your health or not.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where I stand now. Everything I created since that day was designed for only one thing for me to recover from this addiction, unrecognized to this day, and make myself free from all of the digital distractions that were consuming my life. And don't get me wrong, I hope people understand while they're listening to us. I don't pretend to be perfect. I do have a smartphone. I use my smartphone, but I'm smart enough to know that if I don't put a nice line, nobody else will do it for me.
True.
That's
Yeah.
very important.
So can I ask a question, just for the viewers? What are we calling digital freedom? Is it no digital footprint at all? Or is it, if you coin a phrase, smart use of digital platforms?
You said it all, Gary. It's all about smart usage. You know, back in the days, if you guys did your research, Stanford University spent a considerable amount of time and energy to take the biggest name in the world of psychiatry, neuroscience, and so to really understand how they could hack our attention. That's why we talk about the attention economy. And they did it again and again and again. Very controversial research, but it was designed to see how can we get their attention. And of course, the corporations were behind to see, now we know. And that alone became an addiction by design. So guess what? There is no way to fight them. There is no way to argue with them. There is absolutely no way to pretend we know better. We just have to assume that it's an addiction by design, and our brain is seduced by that. Because our brain is always looking for this dopamine hit, the instant gratification, this moment of recognition. So algorithm, as we all know here, is designed to always make things in your favor, pretending that, oh, you see, you're cool, everyone likes you. And so the thing is, when we talk about getting off grid, no technology for whatever time, at some point, you need to go back to reality. And that's why over the years, I made a transition from digital detox to digipause. Because we talk about digital detox as the ultimate way to recover from something that is broken, something that demanded time to be repaired. That's what we see nowadays with people that are going through constant breakdown that leads to burnout. They're even proud of it. You saw that, right? It's almost like a trophy. I had a burnout. Yeah, but hold on a minute. You had a burnout. Do you know how long it takes to recover from that thing completely? To be fully functional, it takes forever. You're never going to be as you were before. So instead of going to the radical, okay, or the too informal, that is itself digital well-being, we need the middle way. And that's why I created Digipause, to provide the right environment to support people on their journey to digital sobriety.
So I was thinking, before we are going to get on to Digipause, I think we might spend a little more time investigating this idea of the dopamine hit. And that is a simple chemical release into the brain that makes us feel good. And you get it from glucose, so sugary foods. You can get it from gambling, from porn, from all sorts of things. And it's a very primitive system for making us look at the same things again. So I've always thought that people, especially neurodivergent people, we're all addicts. And what we're addicted to is novelty. And that's what the digital world gives us all the time, overwhelmingly, is access to novelty. And you get your hit. Whatever the version of the addiction is, it's the same pushing of that. I want more novelty. I want more novelty. And I'm interested in how we can tone that down. So as an individual, I might be able to say to myself, yeah, I recognize that I'm addicted to curiosity, for example. You've only got to ask me a question. I cannot ignore it. And when I find an answer, I get my dopamine hit. But that can be truly overwhelming if you're curious about everything and everyone. So how do I filter out the really interesting stuff?
Well, Gary, it's a very good question, and Carl already know about my very unusual background. So there's many elements that need to be taken in consideration. First, if you're disconnected from your emotions,
Mhm.
disconnected from your body, chances are that you will always find ways to escape. Escapism is there for a reason, which lead to what? Hours of doom scrolling that then lead to frustrations, and it goes on like that, right? I think the most important part is to ground yourself, making sure the environment that surrounds you, okay, is not taking from you, it's giving you back, nourishing you. I meet lots of people that constantly depleted. They live in bigger urban space and they just go, 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 push, 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 and they wonder why they feel drained. And strange enough, you can talk to a neuroscientist about that. For them, the way to relax it's to scroll
Mm.
because we're under the impression that if I sit, I'm going to be careful because some people will smash me after this podcast.
No.
Oops. But, and then it's not about me. Talk to any neuroscientist about that. Um, this tendency that we have to say, okay, I had a long day. I'm just going to crash on the couch and scroll for I don't know how long. It becomes a very bad habit. And the problem is this, the same time could be used to ground yourself, check in with your body, work your breathing, because oftentimes the tank is empty. And that's why we feel the need for more, more, more. And we don't really listen to our body because again, the disconnection is doing that.
Mm.
Disconnected from the grid, the natural environment, and so we need to compensate.
So I'm going
So
to play the devil's
yeah,
advocate. It
go
all
ahead. I
sounds
love
like
that.
very worthy stuff,
Yeah.
this breathing, but it also sounds like a lot of hard work to get going.
I'm afraid to say, Gary, and I will say that to anyone who's listening to us, the real hard work is the reality check. That doesn't happen once in a while. It happens every single day. If you want your nervous system to be regulated, you need to start somewhere. Not
Mhm.
when you feel like it, because when you feel like it, you might be too tired and you have no time. It starts by claiming this presence, this energy, and it starts when you wake up. Because it is known for a fact that when you wake up, if the first thing you do is to scroll on your screen, it's going to do what? It's going to create this anxiogenic effect that will then have an impact on your day, your mood, and eventually how you're going to sleep at night. So it starts right from the get-go. When you wake up in the morning, it's about having this body scan and say, okay, what what's going on here? You know,
Yes.
programming yourself to be at your best so that you're fully present and your nervous system, very important, is not controlling you, right? It's about the same than the smartphone. When people ask me, how can I set my limits? You know, what am I supposed to say, example, to my kids? Well, if you say don't do this, you're not helping.
Yeah.
Provide some suggestion about what can be done instead. I mean,
Correct.
seriously, I look around at people who claim to be like digital wellness, well-being expert. I listen to them, and I got it. It's kind of very convenient to say, don't take your phone when you go to bed. Refrain from doing this and doing that. Okay, but what am I going to do then? I feel bored. Yeah, no, it's true. I'm
No, I get it.
lonely. I'm
Yeah.
unhappy. Unsatisfied.
Mm.
I need a fix.
Yes. Yeah. I need to rewind you back to a word you used. Did you say exogenic?
Anxiogenic effect.
Could
Thanks.
could you could you break that down a little bit and explain it?
Anything that make you feel stressed out, anxious. For example, when you do doom scrolling,
Yes.
you're scrolling on your phone, and the algorithm knows. So they said the algorithm will send you the stuff that is very nasty. Guess what happened? After a while, you feel very anxious, and
Yes.
that leads to what? If it's not
Mhm.
taken care in consideration as you get older, you're going to get into panic attack. You're going to get into social anxiety, even agoraphobia, because you make a disconnection between the reality and virtuality. You
Mhm.
know, I think that the experts call it schizoism. Again, I refrain to use terms like that because I'm definitely not one. But schizoism is when you're completely disconnected between the notion of reality, what's in front of you, and virtuality, what's on your screen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Which would appear to be more possible because the conversation we had at lunchtime. I was interested in a particular on the angle of distraction here. That we're using this phenomenon, this possibility, this world of the digital, and like that behavior that's to do with being drawn into the digital world, the online world, and we are escaping from this reality, if you like, straight and ironically, because I know people may be watching this on their phone, but let's, for the purposes of this conversation, assume that we are engaged in a conversation that, for the purpose of convenience, is a kind of close to real life. It's three guys chatting with each other
Mm.
and we're having a genuine conversation. That to me would be a feature of real life. It's just that we don't happen to be in the same physical
Yeah.
space. Now, okay, we're using these digital and online means to distract ourselves from something. And there's all sorts of reasons given for that. I'm very interested personally, not so much in the distraction, but what we're distracting ourselves from. Okay, so it's the argument can be made very plainly that this is very good technology for distracting people, hacking people, getting their attention. We are now we're the commodity and not the customer because of all
Yeah.
of this phenomenon of the digital world and how social media works. But what do you think we're distracting ourselves from? Because that's a massive philosophical question, isn't it? Really, it's a great big existential question. What
Yeah.
might we be distracting ourselves from? And it's not just the dishes, is it?
Well, you know Alan Watts, right? I love the way he put it out when he talks about distractions.
Right.
Because we're consuming ourselves with, like we call it, artificial paradise.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Pretending that once I'm there, I'll be happy. Once I'm there, I'll be good. I'll reach happiness or whatsoever. So we're always putting our energy outside, where in fact the only place where you can find a sense of contentment is inside. So
Yes.
that's why the internal work is so important. And again, it's not easy. When you sit silently for 5 minutes doing nothingness, which again
Yeah.
is proven to be very good for you,
Yeah.
it's freaking boring.
Yes. By
Nowadays, look
conventional
around.
standards. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so easy to compensate this moment of boredom with something. Put something in my head, in my hands or in my head, because with metaverse and so where it's the whole body that is solicited. The smartwatch, this is just a normal watch, but the goggle, everything. So before it was limited to a phone, and now we're talking about I don't know how many kind of device, and it's just going to increase as it goes.
And the distraction, in your view, on that matter, is a distraction from our inner reality.
It's so easy.
Or in a state. Okay, so much so perhaps that um, young people who've grown up with the option of the digital world, or even believing it to be an integral part of their world, may
Yeah.
not even acknowledge the fact that you have an inner reality. The only reality is like kind of real world where they exist in their family, and then what they can dive into online. The whole idea of an inner realm, which takes us into the direction of spirituality, really. It would appear from what you're saying, and I feel this myself, that it's like almost an occult activity, an esoteric activity, to even acknowledge that we have an inner reality, which isn't just our thoughts, is it? We're not talking just about our thoughts here. We're talking about our inner terrain, aren't we? In which those thoughts might take place.
Yeah, and I think Gary will agree when I say that, this notion, because you talk about esotericism, spirituality, and often people yeah, 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 they
You
want
know.
to step away and they pretend that this is like a cult.
Yes.
But the truth is, the real work is inside, not outside.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why so many people don't want to give up, because we talk about can I be digitally free if you choose to?
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you choose to, like, talk to an alcoholic, even if you bring all of the evidence that if he stop drinking he's going to feel better, the alcohol is the solution for this guy or this girl. It's not a problem. I
Yeah.
mean, as you know, with my background, I had a chance to explore different things. One of them is the world of addiction and mental health. I've done a series of interns when I started DigiPause, which kind of opened my eyes to understand that even though you provide all the resources needed for people that are at the mercy of chemical substance abuse, they are the one to decide if they want it because they have their free will.
Yeah.
So here's what happened. We can tell everyone, okay, guys, we're going to give you all the secrets on how you can become free of digital distractions. Cool. Does it mean that people will use it for more?
Not necessarily, right? And we're also not we're not in the same place that let's say smoking or even alcohol are at, or
Yep.
pornography addictions, because
Yep.
we might still be in the very unfortunate position, in many ways, from the point of view of what you want to give to humanity, that it might not even be seen as a problem. I mean, I do like scrolling, I do like social media, I do like the digital world, and I have begun to recognize that I am distracting myself, and that's something of a sort of mindful decision. Even if I don't stop doing it, I know I'm consciously choosing to do it. But it's not like smoking, is it? Yet it's not like the jury has decided, and
Talk
and
to,
judgment been cast.
sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Carl.
No, go on.
Talk to any neuroscientist,
Mhm.
doctors, people who knows, people that they have the evidence, and they
Yeah,
will tell you. They will tell you that we're full of it because it's hurting people badly. It's
right.
not just about their attention. It's many other aspects. And that's why, as I said to you, and I will put it out there during this podcast, that for me, my vision of the hotel of tomorrow is the hospital of the future. Because denial and negation is nagging us every day. We're
Mm.
so encouraged to use this form of distraction that we don't even know how much it is damaging our brain capacity.
Yeah.
And neuroscientists will talk about gray matters, talk about the BDNF, the brain protein that is gone. They will talk about pre-digital dementia due to infobesity. So this new generation, quite
Infobesity.
anxious.
What?
Yeah,
Infobesity. I've not heard that before. Okay.
and many more
I know
words.
Gary wants to ask you something.
I was just going to say what we're missing is the digital equivalent of Ozempic.
Yes.
Zempic.
Well,
Yeah,
that's on its way, isn't
yeah.
it? That you can bet somebody's working on that, right?
The reason I'm saying that is that there are drugs that help heroin addicts.
Yeah,
There are drugs that help alcoholics. There are drugs for pretty much every other addiction, major addiction. But we haven't found one yet for digital addiction. And it may be a digital product and not a chemical product.
well, I'll say
Because,
this to you, Gary, if I
yeah,
may. I will
yeah,
say
yeah.
this to you. Because I know I had this debate many times already with people who see a huge potential to develop new products that are designed to help people control their tech addiction. And of course, it's about creating more apps. And so I often say, joking, that we don't need, we need, we don't need more apps. We need naps. And the truth
I
is
love
this.
Yay!
The
Yeah.
truth is this. I went to the Web Summit, which is one of the largest tech events in the world, introducing a new concept that was going to bring on board top specialists with the idea that every startup deserves to slow down before they burn out. It was pretty clear, down to earth. And guess what they said to me? They said, "Oh, nice, but you need to have like a nap." And I'm like, dude, this is not my job. My job is to help people take a nap from their app, period.
Yeah.
I had this problem again and again, and it's persistent. Even as you know, Carl, I've been working my booty off to get this idea of the Digipause as the gluten-free of mental health, where it's needed most. It's in the hospitality ecosystem.
Mm.
And guess what? Nothing. So the industry itself, we're talking about hotel, tourism, anything, the big ecosystem is missing the mark
Yeah.
because there's a amount of money right there in their face, but they prefer to ignore it. Because
Yeah,
I've been talking to travelers as much as hoteliers for years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. They all come to the same conclusion. It was nice. I had a good time, and the but is I couldn't take time to rest. So what's the point to
yeah,
travel is if you cannot put that down and pay attention. That's
yeah.
a that's
Holidays,
dangerous.
yeah, the hospitality where you would expect to relax and rest and recuperate, that
No.
might not be happening, and it would be the ideal place in which your work could take place, which you've described as digipause. And I think I heard you say it's like the gluten-free
Yeah.
of mental health. So
Yeah.
tell us about digipause. What is it? What is your gift to humanity in this respect?
Oh yeah.
Such that this will be your positive echo, if you like, that you would leave with humanity, and people say, yes, that guy Eric, I heard him speak about this, and I caught myself, I saw myself being unnecessarily or inappropriately attached to the digital world, and he set me free. What is it you do?
Well, I'll say this because we talked about it today at the Storyteller. Digipause is going through a radical transition from what it was, what it could have been, and what it will be.
Right.
So when I started doing that, I did it based on my work as a seasonal. I think I mentioned too, I work in the tourism industry,
Hmm.
and I was always puzzled to understand how is it that we know what these guys want. We kind of anticipate that we know what they want, but we don't. We don't ask the right questions. So people travel for what? What's the reason? When I started to do that with my clients, it's like the Pandora box opened, just like that. And I was blown away. Because when you ask someone, what are you here for? They give you the answer. And then you can create something that matches with their reality, not yours. The thing is this, we've been going through lots of changes over the last 10 years. The pandemic created that even more. So I was under the impression that by now the hospitality sector was ready to make that shift, creating a space designed to help clients to slow down, unplug for a time being, and programs that was meant to help them do what they came for, places to rest and reset. That's why the notion of social fitness, mental wellness, brain health, it's just buzzwords, was meant to do, to create that kind of environment, to help people relearn how to be humans, a
Mm.
space that provide a different type of dynamic that is focusing on the beingness, not the doingness. That's why, by the way, I create play shops and not workshops. Leave that that word. But the point is this: even though I spoke to many hoteliers about this necessity and the proof, because it is now announced as in the newest trends, um, money talks. So I am in a place now that I have to make this shift. And I chose to make this shift in favor of an audience that is unrecognized. And again, we talked about that. In this case, are men.
Mm.
Because men struggle heavily and numbers speak by themselves. If you look at the cases of suicides, depression, addictions, it's huge. And when we think about places for men to wind down, to relearn how to function better, what you got is usually spaces that attract the opposite. In this case, women. I mean, how many times have you been in a retreat center and it's packed with ladies? There's no men there. And you go, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So the idea is to say what guys need at the moment, especially executives, leaders, because they are the one I have in my radar, is places to slow down and do exactly the opposite of what they were told to do. Be nice to yourself, so you'll be nice to others, and use tools like we talked about, using a language that is meant to bring something more human, stepping out of the AI mode to relearn how to use other form of intelligence, emotional, social, environmental, musical, right? And playfulness, as we talked about, is what I want to bring in the world of man. Saying you're allowed to have fun, you're allowed to be loose, you don't have to compete all the time, compare yourself and stressed out. Leave this idea of cold plunge or whatever where it belongs. It's
Yes.
true. Let's
Yeah.
start to be real. And the notion of unplugging will become effortless.
I'm absolutely with you on this. I spent 10 years as an executive coach after 30 years being a biomedical scientist.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I learned about men in leadership positions, when they got anxious, because they're heavily pressured from every direction, their response was aggression. So the anxiety created fear, fear created aggression. And some of them had been fired because they had, let's put it this way, the Me Too movement was certainly a shock to them. Others were, their health was collapsing. The number of people that were moving out of their business each year was rising, and they couldn't see it was because they were inherently scared witless. So the idea of your retreats and helping them find some values in life that aren't about profit, aren't about driving, I can really see that working. With women, briefly, that I work with, they tended to show or feel guilt and shame. That's how they channeled their fears. So there's a whole ball game for the women of the world and the men. And maybe when groups have sorted themselves out, they can actually mix nicely and play nicely.
True.
Yes.
True. Yeah, I thank you, Gary. Glad that you like the idea because this is all new. For me, I'm forced to say that as a man amongst men, I've been denying my true power, even though I was initiated 15 years ago during a weekend organized by the Mankind Project, which is the largest brotherhood. All of my work was done behind the curtain. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I was just kind of afraid to show up and be fully myself, under the impression that this idea of digital detox was more important. But I came to realize it's not for everyone, to be honest with you.
Right.
And I'm not giving a favor if I'm trying to push people in that direction. It need to come from them. You
Yeah, I
know,
think,
the first step is the admission. If you don't
yeah.
recognize the problem, it doesn't matter who talks. It doesn't matter what kind of arguments this person will bring. You're still sitting in a place of denial and negation.
And I think we also have to step away from driving judgment, either externally imposed judgment of society or that voice in the head of the anxious, fearful, depressed person that is their own judge.
Yeah.
That's who used to sit in my head. And I worked out a way for me that allowed me to help him evolve into one of my champions.
Wow.
And it's a process. And that process, I'm really looking forward to trying to get together groups of 10, 12 people. Start with one, and you heard it here. I'm going to call it the cocoon. People go in, they work with each other, they bring their own wisdom. They're not victims. They come with their power. And then they change, just like a butterfly changes inside a cocoon. And they then take that new version of them, their new awareness, and do good stuff. Not nice stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really powerful.
So
Very powerful.
I'm interested in people who are interested in that kind of idea. And then none of us is smarter than all of us. So the more people that come and see, even if it's temporary and add just a few little ideas, if we can get this off the ground, that will be my ultimate positive echo.
Very
I
good.
really
Well,
like
yeah, I didn't even know about that. I mean, I kind of had a sense of it, but I do like how that's coming together, Gary. And for you, Eric, similarly, I mean, what I'm hearing is a workshop, although you call it a play shop environment.
Love
Your
that.
your invitation here is bringing men specifically. Yeah, that'll be your constituency who recognise that they, it might the one expression of their distraction and them not living their true fullest potential might be digital obsession, distraction, because it is the one of the moment, isn't it? It's our contemporary, our greatest contemporary distraction is the digital world and our smartphones and all that sort of stuff, and all the culture that surrounds it. And if anyone is seeing that they are using that in that not necessarily brilliantly positive and functional way, that's an ideal candidate to be in a work play shop scenario with you. Is that right?
Yeah, because at the moment, I mean, I have so many examples. We're surrounded with toxic masculinity, which is
What do you
hurting.
mean by that? What do you mean by that? How does that manifest in as you see it?
Masculinity. Names that comes to my mind are something like Donald Duck, the guy,
Right. Okay.
Elon Musk, Putin, any people that are, concerned about their own agenda but careless about people around them.
Right.
That leads to what? Toxic masculinity. We don't have really healthy examples nowadays. Think about, years ago, we had people like men, in this case, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Charlie Chaplin, Patch Adams, and the list goes on. Where are they?
It's a good
Where are
question.
they?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we always talk about the same people that are either destroying the planet or causing more anxiety, more uncertainty. But where are the people that are leaving something strong, something real? Think about the guy, the Brazilian who was in Australia looking for work. Carl, I don't remember his last name, Human, the guy who started the free hug campaign.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The guy had no agenda. He
Mm.
just showed up, realized people were a bit distant because he was like, well, this guy's different, long hair, it doesn't look clean. And he just did it. He took a piece of paper, wrote free hugs, and boom,
Hmm.
he created something for people to free themselves and realize they were stuck. And now it's a national day.
Well, our last
That's a
guest,
hero to me.
our last guest, JL Friday or Jess Friday, she helped us understand how, if you like, non-profit community-based economies are grown. And I think unless an alternative way of living that is seen to be practical and rewarding, unless that's there, it's just too easy to go back into that digital death slide.
The digital death slide.
Yeah,
I
Wow.
think it is.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's if you look at the way that's progressing, MIT, for example, did a pretty big study on the effect of generative AI on people's creative ability. And it was terrifying. So this idea that generative AI will help creatives, for example, no, it won't,
No.
because you're shutting off portions of your brain that we require to be creative.
Yeah.
And when you're creative, you get a dopamine hit. So replacing out the, if you like, the dark side of dopamine to the light side of dopamine, I think it's going to be around show, don't tell. You know,
Oh, don't
telling
tell.
people not to smoke for generations, people still smoke because they're just not frightened enough.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
You know,
you make a point. It's so true. In fact, that's what I said to Carl. I'm changing even my title, because I was using different title, consultant, coach. No, with respect, okay, with all the coaches out there. But I realized over the years, like I'm going to be 52. I went through lots of stuff and I had to find my own tools because they were not available out there to negotiate with life and become a better version of myself. So the title that came to me, which is meant to support men in this case, not telling them what to do or just to be present, is a guide.
mhm.
Again, it's the same thing. Where are they? Mentors. We used to have
They are there,
mentors.
but they are there, but the news cycle doesn't reward them.
No, because you look with the Mankind Project, okay, we have a very strong container of men. We have elders that are honored for their knowledge and wisdom. And look at my mentors. I have a few, okay? Some of them are 85. They probably listen to us right now. Eric, Michael, Claude, and so hello. they've been super present into my journey. And we're not talking about people that I just know for a couple of months now. We're talking about someone, example, Eric, that I knew 27 years ago. Because when I left the army, just short story, left my 5 years of service as a police officer, was not me at all. But I had to go through this stuff to understand the real me. He's the one who saw me and was able to help me get out of this mess, find my way to become a man. And to this day, every week we talk on the phone. How is it going? To me, that is more precious than any
Beautiful.
kind of therapist you can get out there, because he can see you where you're when you're in deep and you're having troubles, as it is when you are getting some traction and having some success. Right? He's there to see you for who you are, and that's to me a big miss at the moment when it
Yeah,
comes to
definitely.
masculine energy. We lack that, the ability to have a mentor giving power to elders by saying, tell us, show us, what is
Yeah,
it that we should know?
can I ask something or add something there as well? It's almost as if we need to do the opposite of the language, the jargon, the culture of social media and the digital world. Because when you asked, where are the mentors? He's probably, and I mean, a male mentor for you. He's on the phone once a week. He's not on Instagram. He's not on Facebook. This is not. This is not a scale thing, is it? So it's
No,
all these
no.
preoccupations with social media and the digital world. Like, is it scalable? You know,
That's total bullshit. Sorry, I'm going to say
no,
the
no, no.
pollution.
Exactly,
It's
exactly. And
entirely BS.
what's the opposite of scale? The opposite of scale possibly is human, isn't it? Or a more pleasant counterpoint to scale is human, or we could call it human scale, couldn't we, rather than technological or digital scale? And that is natural human level, and perhaps that the preciousness of what you experience from your mentor, which sounds really old-fashioned and unfamiliar to me, as much as I can appreciate it, is not scalable, is it? It never will be. This is a one-to-one
Hmm.
matter, and these sorts of relationships are really important. And we are in danger, aren't we, of refusing or ignoring things because they're not scalable. And actually, the answer might be the treasure might be in finding out what isn't scalable, rather than trying to, bring all
Hmm.
these awful things about that are to do with the digital culture.
Yeah.
So I've got a suggestion based on that,
Yes.
and that is, I don't think you can become wiser by looking at the digital world. You can fill your head full of information, but the only way to become wiser is to access the wisdom you already have.
Yes.
My hypothesis is nature has given all of us wisdom, but society gaslights us to believe we don't have it.
Woohoo! Yes. Well
You
said.
see that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
back to your point earlier, Eric, it's about our real world that matters.
Yes.
Can we notice little tiny things from the everyday world we live in, pay attention to them, and gradually change little step by step the way we live?
Yeah.
And we tap into that wisdom then.
Mm.
Exactly.
So it's not hard. There's not a big jump to accept, yeah, I'm wiser than they let me be. And imagine if we all made wiser decisions a little more often.
Yeah.
And in real life on a human scale. That
Correct.
that would be very different, because interestingly, you didn't call your mentor your influencer, Eric.
No, excuse
Did
me.
you?
Can we just say it? So for the one who listened to us, because I'm
Yeah.
always shying away. I'm like, I'm going to write it, but I'm never going to publish it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Social influencers is a mental health disease that is unrecognized, and it's fueled by self narcissism. I said it.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go.
Well,
That'll make a
I've
good
said,
clip.
Carl, I've said this already on previous episodes. I looked at the number of young influencers on TikTok and YouTube who have committed, sorry, I shouldn't use that. They have taken their own lives
Mhm.
because they
That.
woke up and found they had no purpose.
Yeah.
It works
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, quite extraordinary, isn't it? Really, and sadly,
Very.
one of the number one occupations, if you can even call it that. And I know I'm on thin ice here because it's a world in which I, tentatively operate, and have courted with. But it's one of the number one roles, occupations, jobs that young people want to have, and you can understand why, can't you?
Yeah.
Rewarded for it.
Yes, until it starts coming back down the street the other way, which is perhaps what we're
Mm.
experiencing now.
Yeah, I did a presentation a while ago in a place for startup folks, and I did ask, "What's the dream? What's the vision?" As much as what are your values. All the answers that I got was external stuff. I want to have a
Yeah.
big car, big house. What do you want to do? I want to be seen. I want to be a social influencer. No judgment. I was there to
Mm.
listen to them.
Yeah,
No.
But you can see that they've been told, they've been raised to become that because they
yes,
don't know any better. So
yeah,
Mm.
again, I think it's important to mention that um, I'm in no position to judge anyone. I'm in
No.
no position to
So.
decide what's right, what's wrong. But as I said earlier, I'm changing my title. Title means something as a wellness guide, saying, you know what? Here I am, and I'm going to provide you a chance to explore which element is best for you, the
yeah,
kind of environment that will support you, nourish you, the kind of activities that will help you become a better version of yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. I will introduce you to it, in this case, nature, and you decide. Because when people ask, what's the solution, Eric? I'm spending too much time on my phone. Do you really want to know? For example, let me just give you a quick example.
Mm.
I'm riding a bicycle every day. That's my way to stay fit, and that's my way to stay sane. So when I'm riding my bike, I don't need to argue with my phone because my phone stays in my backpack on my pocket. No, but seriously,
I
I
know. I
can
get it.
ride a bike and watch YouTube videos, and I don't have data plans on my phone. You have to create this kind of stoicism environment that will
Yeah,
support you. That demand constancy, discipline, and a clear sense of engagement. And unfortunately, I know it for a fact, unless life smash you from the back and say maybe it's time to slow down and switch off,
yeah.
they will continue to walk with this kind of air and saying, I know better, it's all good. Okay, you do
I'm
you.
fine. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. And
And
that's
Fine,
human
thank
nature. That's human
I,
nature. We've got to allow ourselves that, haven't we?
Eric, I have this vision of you, the guide, standing shoulder to shoulder with your people that you
Yes.
wish to guide,
Oh
not in
yeah.
front of them, not pushing them.
No,
You're side by side,
side
being
by
their
side,
champion, and that's a
shoulder by
great
shoulders, supporting each other's,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
supporting
Because
each
the
other.
guide always, I can't remember who said it, but the guide also learns from the person who's being guided. And if you're
Yeah,
not prepared to
absolutely.
do that,
No,
mm,
no. And it's to show a presence. And
mm,
it's not to say, guys, I know better, I'm going to teach you something. Nobody need to learn anything anymore. I'm a de-learner. When I showed up and do my presentations of any kind, I say, you're not going to learn anything from me. Or a bit shocked, like, what?
Yeah.
But I mean, I teach laughter yoga for God's sake.
yeah,
And I always have to say to people, good Lord, don't label me as a laughter yoga teacher. I use this thing to create somatic experiences that are meant to help you make the shift. So
Mm.
screw the language, go right into the experience, and you're going to see it for yourself. And people are often confused. So I say, leave the doing this. Let's go and explore the being this. And by the way, the only thing you need is this little childlike play spirit. Everything else can stay at the door. And they do it every time. And they
Very
get
good.
it.
A de-learner, an unlearner.
Yeah.
We're coming to the conclusion of our podcast, and I just want to ask Gary if he'll plug his book a little bit more. But before we do that, Eric, perhaps a final message, invitation, suggestion from you to our audience, and as a positive echo emanating out from this
Positive
recording and
echo.
conversation with you today.
Yeah. Well, first, I'm very, very grateful to be with you tonight, just to get a chance to talk to men that are willing to step up and be fully present in their authenticity. Uh, That's on for that. I think that out of what we said, the need now is for man to drop the mask.
Hmm.
Allow themselves to be vulnerable. So if any of you listen at the moment struggle with the time you spend online, considered already everything and nothing, and it doesn't work, well, then you have someone here to talk to.
There you
And
go.
I'm not trying to promote myself. I don't even have a website to
I'm not.
start. But the point is, if you want to have a real human connections and to have real set of tools that are meant to work for you, because it did work for me, that's
Mhm.
tough.
Thank you, Eric. Great to have you here today.
Thank
Stay
you.
where you are. Go on. Sorry,
Thank
Gary,
you.
do you want to add something to that?
I was just going to say, rather than plug my book, which we've done, do you have the link to that beautiful little example of a positive echo I sent
Um,
by WhatsApp?
If your brain never hit pause, I love that one.
Well, I'm showing your book regardless,
Yeah.
on
Okay.
here, and I'm also looking for the link that you may have sent me, which I'm happy to share on the screen. Remind me, in which of our many channels did that make its way to
Uh,
you?
it's on the.
Oh, okay, I've got it. I've
It's
got it. Absolutely. Yeah.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, the 3-year-olds helping anxious teens spend more time in
That's the
school.
one.
It's connected, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really,
with what we're
to
saying.
the playfulness. Okay, so let me. Well, good luck with the book. Let's just wish you good
Thank
luck
you.
with your wonderful book that is directly from your experience and your your maverick mind,
Yeah.
and bring onto the screen your other matter that you would like to commend to
Yeah.
everybody. Here we go. Yeah, meet the 3-year-olds who are helping anxious teens spend more time in school. Bless them. What's the story here?
This just blew my mind. This is the young lady who's girl, 13-year-old, suffers from anxiety at school quite
Yeah.
badly. And she's not the only example in this article. Highly commend it. The project was to take 13, 14, 12-year-olds and give them a mentor. And the mentor is 3 years old.
Wow.
And to cut a long story short, this young woman said, I learnt how not to be anxious
No, lovely.
from a 3-year-old.
Yeah,
And
superb.
there's lots of examples of older teenagers going to meet people in care homes, old people. And this
Yeah.
same generational mix is so positive.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, in many
Mm,
ways, and I'm not undermining at all this because it sounds fabulous,
mm.
but this is what you might suspect was a normal situation for human beings to be in, right?
Yes, it's
But now,
absolutely normal. And we
yeah,
and we warehouse our children in different sort of silos.
yes,
And
yeah,
it won't work for every kid, but I just thought it was a brilliant thing. And if
it,
I've got my descriptions of, especially at the moment with the Epstein thing, these are children I'm talking about.
yes, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you, Eric, our
Yeah,
special
thank
guest
you, Eric.
this
Pleasure.
evening.
Thank you so much. And
All the
hopefully
best.
next time I see you guys, it will be to announce the release of my first book.
Yeah,
Wow.
and in
Yeah,
fact,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, maybe it can be done at that best of places to publish books, the Storytellers Hotel
Mm,
in San Martino de Porto. So that will be an
Why
amazing
not? I'm
place.
open for that.
And we'll go down to the beach, and we'll thank the elements on the beach as well for their part in the publication of your book.
A good
Fabulous!
idea.
Thanks very much, gentlemen, and thanks
All
to
right.
anybody who tuned in. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much indeed.
See you
Take
very
care.
soon.